Good morning. We are here with Mr. Tapie, Dean of Essec Business School.
Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Tapie, where does the idea of a think tank among the postgraduate business school come from?
The idea went from the fact that today Essec Business School has become extremely international. About 40% of our students are coming from outside, and we have 85 nationalities on the campus. There are more than 1,600 to be foreign students. And among our faculty today, 45% of the faculty is foreigner. We have been in Singapore since now 7 years, and our campus in Singapore is developing fastly to develop the education in the Asian region. And from that experience, and from all the experience of our students who are obliged to spend a reasonable period of time abroad if they want to be graduated, we went to the conclusion that we had to do more in order to explore a few challenges we are facing today, and which are global challenges. So the key point was to complete a partnership, an intimate partnership with other elite business schools around the world in order to be able to better address some global challenges as a team of several business schools.
Which are the 5 business schools?
Our other colleagues are partners with who we have been working for long years. There are Mannheim in Germany. There are Tuck School of Business, the University of Dartmouth in the U.S. There are Fudan University in China, in Shanghai, and there are Keio University in Japan.
How educational requirements do you think are changing in this new season, post-crisis season?
Oh, it's a very broad subject, of course. I think in the post-crisis time, what is required today to educate a new executive is both to give them, of course, all the tools and the technical resources that they need to do their job, and to be as trained as possible on many instruments that have been developed during the last 50 years. This is one thing, but simultaneously we have also to train better the people in philosophy, in history, in geopolitics, in order to enable them to take their decision in an intellectual framework which is much richer than just the instrument logic, which has been sometimes the training among business schools. And so I think today we have to incorporate many issues which are dealing with the common good, which are dealing with the global framework of political decision making, which are now much more required if executives in companies want to take appropriate decisions.
And instead about the sector, which do you think are the main important now?
In terms of economic sector, you mean?
Yes.
I think there is no yes and no answer to your question, because all sectors are highly interacting together towards a world of innovation. Of course, the sector of energy is of huge importance, but of course the very traditional industrial sectors, depending whether they are able or not to produce new goods with a lower carbon footprint, with lower use of natural resources are extremely important. And of course, all the sectors of services, from banking to hospitality to health services, is extremely important because our societies are complex. So I will not put one sector above the others. Transportation, of course, today in a world where anyone wants to go anywhere every month and so on, is of key importance. So I will not put any sector above another, but I will emphasize how innovation of products, innovation of services are today of key importance.
Well, and instead, how do you think is changing the relationship between companies and school and education?
One thing which is today accelerating, I'm not sure it is changing, but at least it's accelerating, is that the employers are more and more concerned by the new demands, the new spirit, the new attitudes of the soon-to-be graduated students. And I don't know if you have this information, but in the European countries, with the sociologists considers that a generation, not a biological generation, which is roughly 30 years of age, which has lengthened. It was 25, now 30 years ago. Now it's more 30 than 25. And even in Italy, it must be longer. But what the sociologists call generation, which is generation of coherent behaviors, of coherent attitudes, of sharing the same values and concerns and so on. A sociologue generation is long of 4 to 5 years. So every 4 or 5 years, the behaviors of the youngsters are changing. And I can observe that. I mean, I am the dean of a school since now 21 years. I will begin my 22nd year at next September. And during that period of time, I have met 4 to 5 different generations with different modes of being concerned by something or by another, and things which are important for them or more or less important, and so on and so forth. And today, I think the company have realized that the speed of change of that type of behavior is such that if the companies want to attract really good performers, they have to be able to change at the speed of the real life change, and this changes a lot. This is the first point. A second point is that international diversity has increased tremendously. This creates opportunities but also anxieties, because people are a little more uncertain about who they are, why they are thinking X, Y, Z, and so on and so forth, because they are confronted very early to very different opinions, because a Chinese will not react as an Italian, and an Italian will not react as a Finnish, and a Finnish will not react as a Brazilian. And all these guys and girls are meeting together at a very young age and with their own portfolio of reactions and so on. So I think both it creates a lot of interest, but also it creates fears and anxiety about who am I. And the third point, as a general trend, is that the new graduates, which are today our students, have a higher concern of public good, global warming, meaningful action within their life, within the companies, and so on and so forth, than the previous generation. And it means that for the company, in order to attract really the people who are the best ones, giving meaning to what they will propose is of increasing importance. And I think the companies have to be very, very serious with that.
For sure. Now we would like to talk about your business school. It's a prestigious one, and you have, as you said, lots of international students. How do you integrate them?
Integration of international students is more an art than a science. Is always a challenge. It has always to be reinvented because any class is different from the previous one, and so on and so forth. We try to deploy integration through a vast variety of means. Some means are very small details, and we give a lot of attention to day-to-day details. How, for example, every single international student is welcome at the airport by one student from Essec who takes care with him when he goes out from the international section of the airport, putting the first foot on the floor of France. There is a French Essec student with a sign having his or her name, just welcome him or her, and going back by taxi or car directly to the business school and to the student dormitories. So it begins from very hour one. We integrate them for the lodging, so all the student residences are designed in such a way that there is a high mix of the different cultures of the students one another. After that, of course, they are in the classes as are the others. And in that part, one of the very interesting milestones is when we went up to more than 1/3 of the student body who was international. When you go up to 1/3, now we are nearly 40%, it means that being international is not rare. It's not a strange mutant who is there, and so you have 5 international students in an assembly of 50 students in total. They are very teeny minority, and they are very shy to express themselves. When they are 40%, nobody is shy to compare one another. They have different ways to express themselves, but a Lebanese guy will express in one way, and Californian girl will express in another way, a Chinese boy will express in a third way, and so on and so forth. And the even fact that the diversity has increased is a very powerful tool for integration of the student within the class. A third point is lodging, the class. Third point is students' associations, sports, social activities, NGOs, and so on and so forth. So is very important because they are volunteering action, volunteering time. And so when the students are playing football or rugby or sailing together, of course, they are creating friendship, very true and intimate friendship. And this includes parties, and we have a nightlife at Essec, which is extremely rich with theater, dancing, and so on and so forth, music, and so on and so forth. And this social integration through the artistic practice is very important. And I will add, last but not least, that with the diversity of our own faculty body, we are happy to have a faculty who is able to speak the mother language of 93% of the humanity. It means that for statistically 93% of all the students, they have at least one member of the faculty who speaks their mother language. And for 100%, they have one member of the faculty which is very close ethnically and culturally of their own country of origin. So if they are Chinese students who are for the first time of their life out of China, and every year we have dozens of that kind. They have 4 Chinese professors with who they can discuss if they are homesick. And if it is a Japanese student, it is the same. If it is a Thai student, it is the same. If it is a Turkish student, it is the same, and so on and so forth. So I think there we of course we don't have all the nationalities, but our professors are able to speak 93% of the as a mother language of the human kingdom. And so I think that the support and the psychological back office, which represent a very diverse faculty body compared to a very diverse student body, is something of great importance.
Yes, you're right. And the last question is, which are the plus of your business school?
There are several ones. The first one is brand and reputation. I mean, we are definitively among the 15 or 20 business schools around the world who are heavyweights by rankings, by various yardsticks. We are in that league, so this is the very first thing. The second point is we proposed a very broad portfolio of programs where the students can experience international immersion, international times within an academic partner abroad, double degrees. We have probably the broadest portfolio of full double degrees for Master of Science in Management offered by anyone in the world, with the most prestigious school around the world. So I think this is a very heavy advantage. I think a third one is in the tradition of the Grande École. We propose a special integration mode between experiential learning within companies and academic training. And experiential learning is something which has been developed in Essec since 1 century. We are extremely formalized in that dimension. We have many written books and so on and so forth. We are known as a world-class expert on these issues. And I think the blended model of education that we are proposing to young students is in fact a proposal which is a mix between executive education and full-time education proposed at a very young age. And this has as a consequence of accelerating the maturity of the students very, very highly. And our students are known for that, for the maturity they have when they are 25, because they have been immersed in very demanding places and in places where their professional talents were grown quickly compared to others, and not theoretically. We handle theory and practice really together in order to put them up together. And the last point, which is part of this previous point, but a very important one, is our tradition of personal coaching, tutoring, and mentoring. Because there is an origin. The origin of the school, now we are far from that, but the origin of the school has been to be created by the Jesuits, and we have said from that very intimate tradition of student coaching and mentoring. So we propose the students a lot of choices. They choose in between many, many options what they decide to do or not to do. And we propose them very personal coaching and development training program for themselves. And I think that the awareness, our students' awareness of who they are, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, how they can progress, and so on and so forth, is reasonably higher than average when they are graduated compared to the class of their generation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tapie. Thank you for your time and for this very interesting information.
You're very welcome. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Bye-bye.